Kevin Stefanski had a quarterback decision to make, but according to reports, it wasn't really his to own. Pressure from Browns owner Jimmy Haslam tilted the scales, forcing Stefanski to name Shedeur Sanders a starter over Dillon Gabriel, even though Gabriel had clear concussion protocols and done nothing to warrant a benching. The rationale? Not game tape, not locker room dynamics, just the financial upside of spotlighting a quarterback who sells tickets and dominates headlines.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Despite the uproar, Sanders answered the call. He stepped into a pressure cooker of skepticism and expectation, and delivered. His pocket presence, quick reads, and ability to manage the moment didn't just settle nerves. They hinted at real franchise potential. Now, the spotlight isn't just on Shedeur's arm. It's on whether talent and maturity can reframe a narrative born in the boardroom. In Cleveland, this quarterback battle is no longer just about who throws better. It's about who can own the moment forced upon them. Jimmy Haslam didn't just change quarterbacks. He changed the tone of the Cleveland Browns season with one decision that's now echoing across the league. Reports say Haslam, the Browns owner, pressured head coach Kevin Stefanski to bench Dillon Gabriel in favor of rookie Shedeur Sanders. Not because of performance, not because of injury, but because business was down and buzz was flat. This wasn't about football. It was about optics. Dillon Gabriel had just cleared concussion protocol. He was healthy. He was adequate. The kind of young quarterback trying to earn a future by showing steady growth, not flashing headlines. He wasn't throwing 5 touchdown games, sure, but he wasn't falling apart either. He was doing the job. But for Jimmy Haslam, that wasn't enough. What was enough? The promise of headlines. The excitement of a name like Shedeur Sanders. The social media boost. The press coverage. The jersey sales. Everything that comes with turning a well-known rookie into the starter. And with ticket sales dipping, Haslam saw an opportunity to inject life into the Browns brand. The move wasn't whispered about. It leaked out. And once it did, it confirmed what a lot of people already suspected. The business side of football just steamrolled the coaching staff. Kevin Stefanski, whether he liked it or not, announced Shedeur Sanders as a starter. It was presented as a football decision, but it was far from organic. This wasn't about competition or game tape. It was about marketing. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a backup. He was the buzz. And Haslam knew it. Sanders brings attention. Media buzz. Merch sales. Engagement. He's more than a player. He's a business asset. And in a league where owners are looking at bottom lines as much as box scores, that makes him valuable before he ever throws a pass. But that kind of value comes with a price. Because what happens when business decisions invade the football field? When a player is elevated not because of what he's done, but because of what he could represent to a fan base hungry for hope, you get dysfunction. Players saw what happened. They saw a teammate bench right after being cleared to play. A guy who had done everything right. He stayed professional, worked through recovery, and never gave the coaching staff a reason to question his effort. And yet, none of that mattered. He was replaced because Shedeur Sanders made more sense off the field. And in that moment, the Browns sent a message louder than any team meeting. This depth chart isn't just about football. From that point forward, the dynamic in the locker room shifted. The trust between the players and the decision-makers? Damaged. The faith that the best guy plays? Fractured. Veterans started asking questions. Some voiced frustration in interviews. Not explicitly, but the tension was there. The subtext was loud. Especially when you're talking about a rookie quarterback suddenly thrust into the spotlight under controversial circumstances. And to Sanders' credit, he delivered. He came in and played well. He looked ready. He handled the pressure like a pro. His throws were sharp, his command was impressive. And he didn't blink in the moment. He looked the part. That's what makes this more complex. Because it's not like Shedeur was some unqualified hype machine who stumbled into the role. He's got real talent. He's mentally tough. He's clearly been preparing for the moment. He can play. But none of that erases how the opportunity landed in his lap. That's the tension, the conflict. Shedeur might succeed, but the way it happened will always follow him. The narrative will always include the owner's interference. The optics can't be undone. And for Gabriel, the message is devastating. He didn't just lose a job. He lost faith in a system that told him, if you work hard, stay focused, and recover the right way, you'll get your shot. But that promise was broken the minute Haslam prioritized marketing over merit. Gabriel's still showing up, still preparing, still staying ready. He's not causing drama. But behind the scenes, how do you recover from that? How do you trust again? And this isn't just a Gabriel problem. Every player in that building felt the ripple effect. Because if the quarterback room is fair game for business decisions, who's next? What other depth chart calls will be made based on press releases and trending topics? This isn't just one controversy. It's a pattern, a warning. When ownership starts overriding football decisions for commercial value, it doesn't just cost one player his shot. It eats at the foundation of a team's culture. And let's be clear, the Browns have been trying to build something. Stefanski was working to create consistency, structure, a team that didn't implode every few seasons. But now, he's navigating a roster shaped by someone above him. He has to answer questions he didn't ask for. He has to explain a decision he didn't initiate. And through all of it, he has to keep the locker room from falling apart. Good luck with that. And then there's Shedeur, who has the toughest job of all. He's not just trying to prove he can play. He's trying to silence the narrative. Every throw, every mistake, every win, every loss. It all ties back to this one moment when the owner stepped in and fast-tracked his promotion. There's no room for slow starts. No patience for growing pains. He has to be great, immediately, or the critics will come for him. Not because they doubt his talent, but because they doubt the process. And that's not fair to him, but it's the reality now. The bar has been set sky high. The leash? Short. The scrutiny? Unrelenting. If Sanders keeps winning, he'll shift the narrative. He'll take control of it. He can still be the guy, but it'll never be a clean slate. His legacy will always include this twist, a reminder that in the NFL, even the most talented players can become pawns in bigger games. And if he struggles, the whole situation explodes. Fans will call for Gabriel. Reporters will ask if Stefanski was ever really on board. And Haslam? He'll have to answer for the gamble. Because this wasn't a quiet roster change. It was loud, public, business-driven. And now, it's a storyline that defines the Browns season. So here we are, with a rookie quarterback under a microscope, a young backup sidelined for reasons that had nothing to do with football, and a coaching staff trying to pretend they're still in charge. All because an owner saw dollar signs and made a move. What do you think? Was this a necessary shakeup or a power play gone too far? Should Dillon Gabriel have stayed in the starting role? Does Shedeur Sanders have the tools to turn this messy moment into something meaningful? Drop your thoughts below. Like this video if the story made your jaw drop. Share it with someone still arguing about QB1. And subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Because when football and business collide, the fallout is always dramatic. And we're just getting started. The Cleveland Browns didn't just make a quarterback change. They detonated a conversation that cuts to the very core of what the NFL has become. Because when owner Jimmy Haslam stepped in and reportedly pressured Kevin Stefanski to bench Dillon Gabriel in favor of Shedeur Sanders, he wasn't just shuffling the depth chart. He was laying bare the reality of modern pro football, where ticket sales can outweigh touchdowns and hype can sideline hard work. Match, let's be real. This wasn't about who gave the team a better chance to win on the field. Dillon Gabriel had just clear concussion protocol. He was healthy. He was adequate. Not spectacular, but competent. Exactly what you'd expect from a young quarterback still learning the ropes. He'd done everything asked of him, navigated injury like a pro, and kept the offense afloat. And then, seemingly overnight, he was out. Not because of poor play, not because of setbacks in recovery, but because the business side of the Browns was getting antsy. Ticket sales had dipped. The buzz had flattened. There was a hunger for something new, something bold, something viral. Enter Shedeur Sanders. Now let's pause here. Shedeur isn't the villain in this story. In fact, he might be the most blameless person in the whole saga. He didn't beg for the job. He didn't undermine his teammate. By all accounts, he prepared quietly, stayed focused, and waited for an opportunity. But how that opportunity came, that's the controversy. This wasn't Stefanski making a football decision. According to sources close to the situation, this was Haslam's hand. A calculated push to create a moment, to stir the pot, to tap into the Shedeur Sanders effect, the name recognition, the Deion Sanders connection, the media frenzy, the marketability. Because Shedeur doesn't just bring talent. He brings clicks, engagement, and relevance. He trends. That's what this was really about. Haslam saw a chance to flip the narrative, and he took it. Suddenly, Shedeur Sanders was named the starter. Just like that, Dillon Gabriel, still warm from practice reps, was benched. No injury setback. No disciplinary issue. No on-field collapse. Just business. The Browns? They didn't try to hide it. Stefanski announced a move with the kind of rehearsed calm that screamed, "Not my idea." The PR machine spun up. Shedeur was trotted out as the future of the franchise. And maybe he is. Maybe this turns out to be the right move for the long-term health of the team. But even if it is, it doesn't change the fact that the process was tainted from the jump. Because merit wasn't the driving force behind this decision. Media value was. That's the part that stings. Especially for Gabriel. This is a player who had done nothing to lose his job. He worked through concussion protocol the right way. He didn't rush back. He didn't pout. He stayed locked in. And when he was cleared, he came back ready to compete. And still, it wasn't enough. Because the man above the football operation decided that buzz mattered more than balance. That jersey sales mattered more than player development. That Shedeur Sanders gave the Browns something Gabriel didn't. Attention. And here's the harsh truth. In today's NFL, attention is a currency. Owners want more than wins. They want relevance. Headlines. Brand equity. They want to sell a product that feels exciting, even if that means forcing the hand of their football staff, which is exactly what Haslam did. And the ripple effects? Immediate. Inside the locker room, there's tension. Not the kind you see in press conferences, but the kind that lives in glances, in short conversations, in the unspoken understanding that decisions aren't entirely football-based anymore. When players see a guy like Gabriel get benched despite doing everything right, they start questioning the system. Is this really a meritocracy? Or are we all just one viral rookie away from being replaced? Veterans, in particular, don't respond well to that kind of chaos. They've been around long enough to know when the balance of power has shifted. And make no mistake, it's shifted. Kevin Stefanski now has to coach a roster that knows he's not fully in control. He has to motivate a group of professionals while tiptoeing around a quarterback controversy he didn't create. He's got to keep Gabriel engaged without promising him another shot. And he's got to help Sanders develop in real time while the whole country watches, knowing one stumble could undo the whole house of cards. Because here's the flip side. If Shedeur Sanders fails, this gets even uglier. If he plays poorly, if the team struggles, if the offense stalls, this won't just be a rookie growing pain situation. It will become a full-blown indictment of Haslam's interference. The media will feast on it. The fan base will turn. And the locker room will fully unravel. All because one owner couldn't stay in his lane. And the worst part? This could have all happened organically. Shedeur could have taken the job the right way. Through competition. Through performance. Through the kind of natural progression that builds belief in a locker room. But Haslam rushed it. He forced the arc. Now Sanders has to carry more than just the expectations of being a rookie starter. He has to carry the weight of an entire franchise trying to sell a narrative it didn't let unfold naturally. That's not just unfair, it's suffocating. Every pass Shedeur throws now will be measured against a standard he didn't set. And yet, he's handled it. So far, he's responded like a professional. He looked sharp in his first start. He didn't show signs of cracking under pressure. His reads were clean, his mechanics solid. He showed poise that plenty of rookies lack. That matters. It shows that he can play. That he might be more than just the headline. That he might actually be the guy. photos, but that doesn't change what the situation has done to the team. Because even if Shedeur goes on to become a franchise quarterback, the Browns will have to reckon with how this all began, with how one player's path was derailed, with how a coach's authority was bypassed, with how an owner's obsession with buzz nearly turned a football operation into a PR campaign. This isn't just about one season. It's about setting a precedent. And it raises questions that won't be easy to answer. Is this how teams should be run? Should marketing influence who plays on Sunday? Should ownership have this much control over on-field decisions? Or should the locker room be sacred? Because that's what's really at stake here. Trust, integrity, the belief that jobs are earned, not gifted. That the best player will play, not the most marketable one. Right now, that belief has been shaken in Cleveland, and it will take more than a few solid starts to fix it. The fallout from Jimmy Haslam's quarterback meddling hasn't died down. In fact, it's only gaining momentum. You've got a team that was trying to stabilize, a locker room trying to buy into a long-term vision, a coaching staff that believed in developing talent, staying disciplined, and building something methodically. And now, all of that is upended. Not by an injury, not by a trade, not even by poor play, but by a leaked report that says ownership wanted more buzz. And that's where the story stops being about football and starts being about control. Dillon Gabriel didn't lose a starting job on merit. He didn't miss meetings. He didn't fall apart on the field. He cleared concussion protocol, was practicing, and by all internal accounts, was doing his job at a level that justified keeping him in the lineup. But the Browns weren't trending. Ticket sales were lagging. The front office needed something, anything, to turn the media spotlight back onto Cleveland. And what better way to do that than to elevate a quarterback who comes with a built-in following and a famous last name? SS Shedeur Sanders, KFC deal promotion. That's where Shedeur Sanders comes in. And listen, this isn't a knock on Shedeur. Let's make that clear. The guy has talent. He's mature. He's clearly been preparing. He didn't ask for this circus, but now he's the main act, whether he likes it or not. And to his credit, he's handled it with composure beyond his years. But this entire situation was crafted by forces beyond the field. It wasn't about who threw better in practice that week. It wasn't about who understood the playbook more thoroughly. It wasn't about leadership or locker room command. It was about media metrics, about monetizing a name, about turning Shedeur into a brand asset first, and a quarterback second. And for a sport that loves to scream football first, that's a dangerous flip. J.H. Haslam made the call. According to multiple insiders, it was his push that turned the tide. Not a film review session, not a staff vote, just a simple reality. Gabriel doesn't sell jerseys. Sanders does. So Shedeur became QB1, and the franchise crossed a line that, once crossed, is hard to walk back from. Because now, every player on that roster knows what time it is. They know that performance alone doesn't protect your spot. They know that doing everything right, rehabbing, learning, staying ready, might still get you benched if you don't bring in enough off-field value. And that realization, it's toxic to culture. NFL locker rooms thrive on structure. They need trust, belief that if you put in the work, you'll be rewarded, that the guys who earn it will get it, that the field is sacred. The moment you start eroding that belief, you start breaking the team from the inside out. And now Stefanski is left to clean up a mess he didn't make. He's standing at the podium answering for a decision he didn't initiate, try and keep the narrative about football reasons when everyone knows the truth. He's walking into meetings with players who know he got steamrolled by his boss. And he's coaching two quarterbacks who both deserve better. Let's talk about Gabriel for a second. This guy handled the benching with the kind of class and professionalism you wish more players had. No angry tweets. No leaked agent quotes. No cryptic Instagram unfollows. He just kept showing up, still in meetings, still watching tape, still supporting the team. But you can't tell me that doesn't hurt. You can't tell me he doesn't sit in that QB room and wonder what else he was supposed to do. He got healthy. He stayed ready. He was performing. And it didn't matter. That kind of betrayal doesn't just go away. It sits. It lingers. And for a young quarterback trying to carve out a career in a league that chews players up faster than it can draft them, this kind of detour can be career-defining. Meanwhile, Shedeur's walking a tightrope, because while he's done everything right since being named the starter, the expectations around him are suffocating. He doesn't just have to play well. He has to justify the chaos. He has to prove that the gamble was worth it, that he's not just hype, that he's not just Haslam's project. And for a rookie quarterback still adjusting to NFL speed, that's pressure that no one should have to carry. Every snap, every decision, every throw, he knows the critics are watching, not just fans or media, but players, teammates, coaches. Everyone in that building is watching to see if this was just a flashy move or if there's real substance under the spotlight. And so far, yes, he's delivered, but the bar is set unreasonably high. If Sanders throws an interception, the conversation isn't rookie mistake. This is what happens when ownership meddles. If the team loses, it's not growing pains. It's proof that Gabriel should have never been benched. That's the kind of pressure Haslam created, not just for his quarterbacks, but for his entire organization. And long-term, this could get worse before it gets better. Because what happens if Shedeur hits a wall? If the team starts slipping? If Gabriel starts looking better in practice, but ownership still insists on sticking with the flashy starter? What happens when the locker room finally says enough? Because you can hold things together for a while. You can fake unity in press conferences. But if losses pile up and the players lose faith in the process, it falls apart. The Browns aren't a franchise that can afford to gamble with culture, not when they spent years trying to dig out a dysfunction. And Haslam's move just sent them back into it. Even if Shedeur becomes great, especially if he becomes great, this moment will follow him. It'll always be the story. Not his breakout game, not his leadership, not his poise under pressure, but the fact that his rise started with a text from ownership, not a competition on the field. That's what makes this so messy. This wasn't just a football decision. It was a business move disguised as one. And in doing that, the Browns opened a door to something they can't easily close. The belief that anyone's job can be bought by buzz. So here we are, two young quarterbacks. One thrown into the fire for clicks, the other thrown aside for marketability. A coach caught in the middle, a locker room walking on eggshells, and an owner who turned the playbook into a press release. What do you think? Should Gabriel have kept the job? Can Shedeur overcome the shadow of how he got a shot? And how much damage has Haslam done to the culture inside that building? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this if you're still reeling from the drama, and share it with someone who swears front offices don't interfere. And if you want more breakdowns like this, stories where the truth behind a headline is way messier than what's on the scoreboard, hit subscribe. Because when the business of football hijacks the game itself, you better believe we're talking about it.